Vampires are varied and have lasted a long time throughout various different stories. Today we're going to take a look at some of the more neurotic versions that live on the Discworld. From classical vampires to more modernized vampires with a Y, and even some that have become teetotalers. I'm Ollamh, and welcome to Geek Trivia. So we start off with the classic style of vampire, living in a huge castle with big windows that are covered with drapes that can easily be torn off. These vampires always had decorations that could easily be twisted into holy symbols, and actually had holy water, garlic, and other items kept in the basement. Now that may seem strange, but there is a reason. You see, these vampires understood that their dealings with vampire hunters was kind of a game. They could try to bite and drink the blood of the hunters, and the hunters would try to kill them, except that the vampires never really died. Their crumbled remains would be swept up by the resident Igor and put into a tomb, where years or decades later a few drops of blood would bring them back to life. They made sure to have several means with which a hunter could kill them, so that the hunters wouldn't go too far and find ways to make sure they didn't come back. If they made it too hard and became too much of a pain, they might have their ashes spread in the oceans or tossed over the edge of the disc, or in some other way prevented from coming back at all. Also, they are very neurotic. If a bunch of seeds are dropped on the ground, they feel compelled to count each and every one. If you steal their left sock, they'll spend days, weeks, or possibly even months searching for it. OCD is a hell of a thing, especially when you're undead. So we come to the magpie vampires, who, besides not being able to spell, don't see why vampires should be so stupid. The father of the family takes strides to teach each of the magpires not to give in to the typical weaknesses. They can cross water, they don't crumble with holy water, and don't so much as flinch at holy symbols. They have decided that it is time for vampires to take their place as head of the world. They start off by trying to take over Lancre, which is generally a bad idea. One of the key people they try to take control of is Granny Weatherwax, but it doesn't work the way they want. Instead of the witch being subservient to the vampires, they pick up the thoughts and desires of Granny. They find out that they can no longer drink blood of the innocent, but crave tea instead. The other attempt to modernize vampires is the Uberwald League of Temperance, as headed by Lady Margalotta. This is another attempt to bring vampires out of the shadows and into their proper place in the world. The League pushes to get vampires off of blood, transferring the craving for blood to something else. An example is Otto Schreck, who is obsessed with light and taking pictures. There are several other vampires that have gone on to swear off blood, replacing it with coffee, political power, photography, and even being a police officer. Now, that doesn't mean that they're cured. It means that as long as they have their replacement, they'll be fine. If their replacement isn't there, such as not having coffee, the thirst for blood will come back with a vengeance. So that is a brief overview of vampires of the Discworld. They have always been fairly understanding, but the strive to modernize themselves is long-lasting. What do you think of these vampires? Do you think they were better off originally, or that the League is better for them? How much of the Discworld do you know about? Let us know what you think of the vampires of the Discworld by leaving a comment down below, sending us a tweet, or a post on our Facebook page. Personally loving the Discworld novels, I'm always curious what people think about the topic. As always, thank you very much for watching. And don't forget to poke the subscribe button down below so that you can stay tuned for more from Ollamh Productions.
If you wanna see some crazy and also lazy, then you should meet me and my friends. Even though we got no money, for sure it's all funny. Yeah,
convenient that he just happens to know how to make glue. A glue that will stick that together well.
It was decided that if every Kryptonian had access to these powers, they would not have been wiped out by their exploding planet.